In the last example in this series, I made a countdown timer, and it counts down till from wherever the current date is to April the 1st, 2020. So that's currently 329 days, 12 hours, 36 minutes, and 42 seconds away. All right, that's great, but along the way, I thought it might be interesting to think about how could I have special events be triggered on certain days. Like, let's say if you were using this for an album release and you know to promote an album release and you have a website where there's a countdown timer going, and like 1 week before the release of the album, something changes in what's displayed. Like you get a teaser graphic or a little bit of extra information is released. So that's the basic idea of what I'm going to show today. So I'm not going to do an album release. I'm just going to pretend that on my birthday, which I won't give you my real birthday date, but let's say it's July the 1st. On July the 1st, I want this to have a happy birthday message if it's July the 1st. So let's try doing that. Now the first thing I'm going to want to do is have a way of testing this. Like, one of the things that's difficult about this problem is when I run the sketch, I'm only ever getting the current date. And if I want to make an event in the future, unless I have a time machine, I need a way of changing that. So first thing I'm going to do is create a little slider that's going to go at the bottom of the canvas. And when I slide that left or right, it's going to change kind of what the current date is. So it'll let me trigger events manually. So I'm going to say create a slider, so let SLD current date, and that is going to be a slider, so I'll say slide current date equals create slider, and I'm going to, well, now if you haven't seen, I actually haven't shown creating a slider yet in the class. So if I go to p5js.org and I'll go to the to the reference, I can just show you the quickly show you the reference for creating a slider. So click on the DOM and create image. Where is it? Sorry, if I click on the P5 DOM library, where's my slider? Create slider, there it is. So the reference for it is what you want the range to be. The first argument is the minimum value in the range of the slider. The maximum value is the second argument is the maximum value, and then the final value is where the default setting is. So with this slider, if I move it left and right, it's setting the gray of the background. So I'm going to set up my slider to go from 0 to 360. So I'm going to just sort of change the day anywhere between now and next year. So that should be 365. And the default value is going to be 0. So it's going to be now, basically. So when I run that, you'll see down the bottom I now have this slider that I can move left and right. So basically what we want to do is here, where I'm getting the time now, rather than just getting that from the current date, I need to say I need to get that sort of I need to set that as some date in the future. So whatever now is plus whatever the value of the slider is in milliseconds. So I can do that by saying plus slide current date times. So this is the number of days, so I need to convert that into milliseconds, I think. So let's try, each day has how many milliseconds? It has 1,000 milliseconds for each second, and then 60 seconds for each minute, and then 60 seconds for minutes for each hour, and then 24 hours in a day. All right, so that did not work. Let me just see. I'll console log and find out what's happening. Console.log now. It's probably giving me a NAN. Yeah, NAN. Not a number, so I'm doing something wrong there. Let's see. Just JavaScript. So I might have to do a little bit more with my thing. So let's just look. So set date, target date, dot get date plus 10. Oh, okay, so maybe I can just do now, if I just leave that like it was, and then say now dot set date, now dot get date plus slide current date. Oh, dot value, that might also have been the problem. Let's try. Bit of live debugging here. I'll leave this in because, I mean, it's good to sort of also see how to solve problems with code when you get it. So if I move this forward, oh look, it seems to be working. So as I move the slider across, I'm changing the date. Now, I think it would help if I actually draw the current date down the bottom of the screen, so of the canvas. So let me get that part. Let now d equals now dot get I think they actually had the functions in that. Get date, get month, get full year. So get date. Let now m equals now dot get month. Let now y equals now dot get year. And I'm just going to draw this as text to the screen. So text now d plus 1. Is that right? Oh, the month plus 1, because the months are 0 indexed. So January is actually month 0. It's a little bit confusing. So now d plus now m plus now y. And I'm going to draw that at, let's see, 50 height minus 50. Try that, see if that works. Okay, so the current date is 7th of the 5th, which is correct. I don't know why it says 119. Looks like it's right, except for that 119. I think I have to say get full year. Yes, that looks better. Okay, so now what I said that my birthday, my fictional birthday, not my real birthday, please don't buy me any presents on this day, was July the 31st. So let's save that as a variable as well. So the whole point of the slider stuff is just so that we can test things. This is a little bit of work, but by doing that bit of work, it makes it much, much easier to do the real work of setting up the event in the future and making sure that it looks right. So let birthday date equals new date 2019. So July is the 7th and the 30. Can't remember how many days July has. I'll just say the 20th of July. That doesn't really matter. And then basically what I want to say is if today is that day, then I'll just change the background to red for now. So basically after I figured out when now is, which is here, I can just check whether it's my birthday. So what's the test for that going to be? Well, basically, if I'm not worried about the year and I'm not worried about the seconds or the minutes, I'm really only worried about what's the day of the month and what's the month of the year. So I can say let bday d equals day date dot get date, and let bday m equals birthday date dot get month. And I'll say +1 just so it's consistent with above there where I was also getting the month from the current time. And basically I'm going to have an if statement where I check whether both of those things are true. Right? They both have to be true, so that's two things being true is like an and statement. First one has to be true and the second one has to be true. So if now d equals bday d, and, which we write with 2 ampersands, now m equals bday m. Make sure you don't type the equals with a single equal sign because that's assignment. We're setting a value. We want to check that it is equal with 2 equal signs. So if that's the case, I'll fill it red. And I'll put some text, text at 50 height over 2. And if it's not the case, then I'll just show my standard text. So I'll say else fill 0. And actually this should just be background 25500. Might put that right at the end so it always gets shown, even if it's the birthday or not, just to make debugging a little bit easier. And in the other part, I'm going to put all of this. Whoops, really annoys me. Okay. Actually, quicker than that would just be to put the brackets and then tidy the code. So edit tidy code. Yeah. draw the current date to the screen. Okay, let's test that out. So when this gets to the 20th of the 6th, it should show the birthday message. Are you ready? Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I don't know, it's the 7th, 20th of the 7th, yeah. Oh, no, that didn't work either. Okay, let me check what's happening here. So we need to do some debugging. Don't be discouraged if things don't go the way you expect. It happens all the time. So I'm going to console.log the birthday day. And with console.log, you can actually just put a comma and just put all the things you want to log as arguments. bday d, and then m, bday m. Let's see, so 20 and 8, yep, and then so the now day plus n now d and n m and now m. So I'm just console logging all of the things that I want to compare. So now day is 7 and now month is 5. And as I move the slider, I should see them change. So now month is 6. Now day is 25. 7. Ah, the month here that it's expecting is 8. So I may have made a mistake when I created that birthday date. Yes. Okay, so remember before I said that January is month 0 in these JavaScript dates, and I forgot about that when I created. So even though July is the 7th month, when we create the date for July, we need to put in the number 6. So if I go up to the 20th, 9, 20, happy birthday, it works. Yeah, so that's working. I guess there's a few interesting things about that. This problem with the dates, super confusing. That's why console logging things and checking that what you think you're getting and what you think you're comparing against is what you're actually comparing against is just an absolutely fundamental way to do your debugging. Anyway, happy birthday to you if it's your birthday today. This is especially for you. Otherwise, happy creative coding, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with based on this example.